Arnold Walter, a physics professor from Maine, was a man who believed that the impossible could become possible. It was only a matter of discovering the knowledge that had yet to be uncovered. His passion was time travel, a concept that many considered outlandish. Despite his unyielding determination, even the most resolute individuals could be shaken by criticism. On the brink of abandoning his research, Arnold devised a clever plan to prove the very existence of time travel. If successful, would be as clear as black and white. Arnold organized a party to which he neither invited anyone nor announced publicly. He planned to later send out invitations to all potential time travelers from the present to the distant future, asking them to attend the party at the exact date and time it had already occurred, or at the very least, leave a sign of their visit. On the Saturday night, Arnold, dressed impeccably, arrived at the venue. The catering company he had hired was still preparing. The waiter was methodically setting up the tables, while the manager and the chef seemed more interested in gossiping. Arnold approached the waiter. "Why hasn't everything been prepared yet?" he asked sharply. The waiter looked at him nervously. "Oh, Mr. Walter, you're here. Don't worry, I'll speed things up. Everything will be ready in no time." It was 8:50 p.m., and Arnold had the venue booked until midnight. As he waited and watched the management set up the chairs, he decided to check on the food. The chef was bringing out platters of shrimp kebabs, salad greens with ranch, sweets, drinks, and more. Arnold noticed that the chef and manager were still chatting, with the manager casually munching on a kebab. When they saw Arnold, the chef hurried to arrange the table, and the manager rushed to the reception. "Does it taste as good as it looks?" Arnold asked, picking up a kebab and trying it. It was passable, but something was off. "Put this towards the back. Let me try that one," Arnold said. The chef raised an eyebrow. "What happened, Mr. Walter? Don't like it?" "Perhaps I'm not just used to this kind of spice," Arnold replied. "Don't worry about that, Mr. Walter. I'm the best chef in Maine. You won't regret serving my food at your party," the chef assured. Ignoring the chef's boast, Arnold tasted all the savory snacks. He puckered his lips and drank a glass of water. "I thought you said you were the best chef in town. What is the stuff?" Arnold asked. The chef tasted a morsel and cringed. "I assure you, a tough chef. It's just that the kitchen here is outdated and the cutlery is primitive. I'm not used to cooking in these conditions." "Table and bring the sweeter dish. How about you rearrange this whole table and bring the sweeter dishes to the front? You can't go wrong with sweets," Arnold instructed. He patted the chef on the back and went to inspect the rest of the arrangements. The chef, watching Arnold walk away and essentially spill water over his preparations, shrugged and began rearranging the platters. Arnold took a moment to survey the room. Everything seemed to be in place. but he noticed the manager still chatting with the waiter instead of attending to the reception. Arnold worried that his guests might arrive and leave without being properly welcomed. "Excuse me, manager," Arnold called out. The manager looked up, a hint of anxiety in his eyes as he hurried over. "Yes, Mr. Walter. How do you like the decorations?" "They seem all right, but I've had to make a few adjustments. Your workers have been lagging behind," Arnold said. "Who? I'll see to it right away, Mr. Walter," the manager promised. "Please do. Very special people are coming tonight. It would be an embarrassment for all time if anything goes wrong," Arnold warned. "You need not worry, Mr. Walter. I'll ensure everything is in place," the manager assured. "Yes, and while you're at it, make your way to the reception and ensure none of my guests leave by mistake. They must be greeted with a grand welcome." The manager raised an eyebrow as he saw Arnold checking his watch and examining the tables. "Picky customer. Just as I expected. Who's coming, the Queen of England?" the manager muttered as he made his way to the reception. Arnold waved his hand and called out, "Waiter!" The waiter jumped and hurried over. "Yes, sir? How can I help you?" "What is this?" Arnold said, clearly frustrated. "Some of the tables are missing their condiment jars. And why is the water room temperature? Are all the tables in such disarray?" The waiter, looking nervous, glanced at the tables. "Oh, that must have been a small mistake. I'll fix it right away. Fortunately, no guests have arrived yet." "Hurry up," Arnold urged. "They'll be arriving soon. Everything needs to be absolutely perfect. I want this night to be a memorable one. These guests are very important." Irritated, the waiter adjusted the tables. "I can't wait to get out of here. I'm not used to this job. I asked to be promoted to manager, but instead they made me a waiter?" He muttered to himself before quickly leaving to avoid further work. "What did he say?" the manager asked. "He keeps going on about some special important guest. Maybe it's the Prince of Dubai," the waiter replied. "No, probably the Queen of England," the chef joked. "That's what I said," the manager agreed. Eventually, everything was set up as it should be. Arnold sat at a table, leaning on his fists, tapping his feet anxiously. He sighed as he watched the management crew stand around, murmuring and glancing at him intermittently. As the night wore on, with only 10 minutes to midnight remaining, the manager approached Arnold. "Mr. Walter, what happened to your special guest?" the manager asked with a smirk, handing Arnold the bill. "This doesn't include our tip." Arnold sighed, examining the bill. He pulled out his card and followed the manager to the reception. At that moment, the waiter arrived and said quickly, "Mr. Walter, unfortunately, when you pay by card, we don't receive our tip. Could you please tip us in cash?" "What? How is that possible? Can't you just deduct the tip from the total payment? I don't carry cash," Arnold replied. "I'm afraid not, sir. There's an ATM machine across the street. The general rule is 15% of the bill," the waiter explained. Arnold shrugged, his patience wearing thin. If no one had come the entire night, it was unlikely anyone would arrive in the remaining minutes. He crossed the street, withdrew $200 and muttered under his breath, 15% of the bill for these lousy caterers who didn't even serve anyone. After paying the bill and tipping the staff, Arnold grabbed his coat and headed out the door. "Mr. Walter, we enjoyed working with you tonight. I hope you appreciated our service. Perhaps we'll meet again in the future," the manager said. "I don't think I'll be hosting any parties for a while. Thank you," Arnold replied curtly. Disheartened by the night's outcome, Arnold resolved to complete his plan, despite the lack of guests. On Tuesday, he sent out his invitations and contacted local TV channels to publicize his event. Everything went according to plan. But Arnold knew that all his money, time and energy had seemingly gone to waste. If time travel were possible, at least one person would have attended. It was just another humiliating experience. All the management walked away with their generous tips, smirking as they left. A few days later, while reviewing his expenses, Arnold noticed that the catering company had not deducted their payment from his bank account. Confused, he immediately called the catering company to report the possible glitch. "Hosted a party?" "Mr. Walter, yes, I remember you called to book the event. However, our catering company withdrew the order because you called shortly after and canceled all plans," the catering company representative explained. "Canceled all plans? What are you talking about? I hosted the party and your company prepared everything," Arnold insisted. "Mr. Walter, you must be mistaken. Besides, why would our company not accept payment for a party?" Confused, Arnold hung up and called the venue where the party had taken place. "Yes, Mr. Walter, give me a moment to check our records," the venue manager said. After a brief pause, the manager continued. Mr. Walter, don't worry, it wasn't a glitch. The records show that the service was prepaid days before the event by a company called Main Catering. You must have forgotten. Sometimes planning big events can be overwhelming." "Main? Can you give me their contact information?" Arnold asked, puzzled. "Sorry, Mr. Walter, but they didn't leave behind any other contact details." Arnold set down the phone, bewildered. Prepaid? How could that be? I never informed anyone about the party for it to be prepaid. He searched for the catering companies in Maine, but the supposed Maine catering company didn't even exist. This was absurd. Who were those people who had worked there all night? Arnold began to replay the events in his mind. "Mr. Walter, I hope you enjoyed our service. Perhaps we'll meet again in the future." The manager's words echoed in his memory. A sudden realization hit Arnold. If the event had been prepaid, it meant someone else must have received the information about the party first, through the invitations he sent out on Tuesday. It was them all along, Arnold thought. The test worked. They weren't lousy caterers. They were time travelers.
If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends and family.